everybody, Ed here with Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing of Google's latest creation. We're looking at Chromecast. So this is a $35 streaming device that you can connect to any display's HDMI input, whether you're working with a TV in your bedroom or a computer monitor, and then wirelessly stream content from the internet or your actual local network like a computer or other device. So essentially, as Google markets right here on the box, you can see HDMI plug-in because that is how it actually operates, wireless connection, and then the watch feature, because that's part of the beauty of this Chromecast device. It essentially puts that watch button on a whole host of different content so that you can seamlessly press that button and put whatever you're watching on your respective device onto the big screen. And that really is the pitch here. And much like Google's Nexus line of products, this is definitely bridging the digital divide, and I give Google a lot of credit. There are a lot of different streaming devices out there on the market, but none quite like this with so much potential, especially because of who's backing it, but also that price point makes it something that everyone can afford, much like the Nexus product line in general. So nice to see. First and foremost, some of the things that Google's featuring here at launch, actual Chrome web browsing. So whether you're using a tablet that's Android or iOS based, or an actual computer, Mac or Windows based, you will be able to browse the web on your TV wirelessly at $35. So already that's pretty compelling. The experience does vary though, I want to point that out. YouTube streaming as well as Netflix, that is to be expected. If you pick this up on launch day, it actually also included a 3-month trial to Netflix, which in essence brought the price of this streaming device down to $11 plus shipping and handling, and of course tax, unless you live in a state that doesn't have tax. And then of course access to the Play Store. So really the possibilities for this device in the the long run, the full scheme of things, are really limitless. And right now at inception, though, that is the actual focus. So with that out of the way, let me get it out of the box. Just really wanted to introduce it to people who aren't aware or sure what this device is really all about. So here it is in all its glory. And it is relatively large. I say that because I think a lot of people are expecting something that's going to look exactly like a jump drive, and it's about twice the size of a jump drive, I would say, plus the fact that it's got this hump coming out, which I'm assuming is where all of the antenna action is at. An LED right here, which will essentially show that it's powered. I'm sure that it does a whole host of other things in terms of actual configuration, letting you know whether or not things are working properly. We've also got a micro USB port right there, which is how this device is powered. Trying to get it in focus for you. There it is. So that is exactly how the device is powered. There are also there's one button on the back there, which I'm assuming is power control, and of course it is an HDMI male plug. That's what this is all about. You can just take this with you anywhere. If you have an Android-based tablet or phone, that is where you're principally going to see the best performance. That's why I mentioned before, this does support and work with computers, Windows, and Mac-based ones, but I anticipate, and from what I've seen, the best performance does come from Android-driven devices. Haven't seen a whole lot of iOS action on this so far. But let's see what else is in the box. As I mentioned, you are going to have to actually power this, so you've got a wall adapter right here with its USB connection port, and here is the actual micro USB cable. And I'm hoping that there's actually some reach on this, because clearly in order to get this connected to your TV, depending on how far your setup is, that wire length could be critical. Google also has included, can I open this? Let's see. It is sealed. I'm not even going to bother, but they've also included an HDMI adapter, essentially so that in case the actual Chromecast device, streaming device, cannot fit into the HDMI port on your display, because we all know it's often difficult enough to actually connect HDMI cables. I mean, just because of the way some manufacturers place the ports. They clearly also often don't anticipate a device like this getting hooked up, because traditional HDMI plugs don't necessarily require this much clearance. So they've included an extender so that you can actually manage to plug it in, hopefully in any environment, despite the limitations of the display's bezel. We've also got a tiny pamphlet here, product information, which clearly was cut to size, which is kind of funny, but nice that they included it. I'm not sure that there's that much interesting info here, but they are describing the contents and how Chromecast works. But basically, the real instructions you need to know are the ones you see right here, which clearly the Getting Started guide just shows you you're going to hook this right up to your TV, hook up the USB power, which if your TV does have a USB port, then you can use the power output from the television rather than having to use this. But since this is a $35 device, to me, the whole pitch clearly, at least for the majority of users who aren't going to have smart TVs or the latest generation, they're going to actually need to hook this up to the wall. So that's why I mentioned the cable. Clearly, there are many of you that will not need to use that because you do have a TV that does have some higher end features. A USB input really isn't that high end, but I think you all understand where I'm going with this. And then step 2 is just the setup, which is basically the simple pairing that all of us have gone through at one point or another, using a wireless device that gets output to a monitor or larger display. So nothing new there. I'm not going to take you all through that process right now, but step 3 is the actual process, the setup. They're just going to basically give you a code that you'll have to enter in order to mate the Chromecast streaming device with whatever monitor you've set it up with. And the last thing I want to say on wrapping up this unboxing is that I mentioned before this is very similar to the Nexus brand. It is also a game changer like the Nexus brand because nothing exists. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. There is nothing else like this on the market, forget at this price point. And in principle, out of the box, as I mentioned, just having access to the services that Google is focusing on, which they mentioned in their own presentation of this device, specifically YouTube and Netflix. If you throw in Hulu, that is at least 70 to 75% of all of the streaming content on the internet. And this device will, when you're using something like an Android tablet or phone, this will actually stream the content from the internet, which really does provide, from the samples I've seen, a lag-free experience for the most part. It's when you start to use your own home network that you start to see the limitations of Chromecast, and things can get a little bit choppy. But I think software will also be improved. I don't think that's really a hardware limitation, but I could be wrong. We'll see as things develop. This did just launch the other day. I just received it today. That's why I'm sharing it with you all now. But most importantly, the idea here is that for $35, you're streaming a wide variety of content from the internet. Also, because you can use Chrome, as I mentioned before, and bring up the web browser, there probably are a lot of different things you could do with this out of the box without even diving into actually tinkering with the actual product itself. But what I mean by that is Google Drive. Use your imagination within Chrome. There are a lot of things that I think you could do with this that people just have to discover, and it's a matter of time before those things end up on the internet and being shared. And even though they're not part of the marketing right now, they will eventually be in the long run. Also, if you want to stream websites from your computer, like NBC, all the different ABC shows that you want to watch for free, some of those are going to be blocked. I know, for example, Amazon specifically is blocked, and it's clear why. I think Amazon missed the boat on this one. Amazon has a very large streaming service with Prime, could have taken advantage of something like this, but Google, this isn't the first time they have revolutionized and really changed the game, as I mentioned before. So Google's first to the show. I expect other companies to try to compete with this, but for right now, this is unmatched and groundbreaking on a lot of different levels. And again, digital divide narrowing. So that's a great thing that Google's doing. And I think a lot of people here in the US as well as overseas are going to really enjoy this. It's just another step towards changing the way we get our entertainment, specifically less leverage for the cable companies. So I'm sure they're not happy about this, and that's part of where we'll see a lot of restricting and banning unless this becomes the new standard, which I expect it eventually will. So very different. Don't like to compare it to Apple TV because this is really nothing like Apple TV. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.